Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar, Gain Immediate ROI on Project Documentation Using Assemble. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them in to the question box in the GoToWebinar control panel, not in the chat panel. Also, a recorded version of this webinar will be available on our website and YouTube channel within a couple days. You'll receive an email with the link when it's available. Before we jump in, I want to introduce myself and Microdesk to you all. My name is Sarah Pilardi. I'm a structural solutions specialist here at Microdesk. My background is in structural engineering and virtual design and construction. I've got 8 years experience in the industry. Microdesk was founded in 1994 as an Autodesk reseller with a simple mission: to assist architecture, engineering, construction owners, and GIS firms with improving workflows and integrating project delivery technologies. 25 years later, and that mission still holds true. Microdesk is a well-established AECO consulting firm with 13 offices in the US and UK. We have over 230 plus AECO consultants, solution specialists, software developers, that can help in all sectors, all disciplines, and all stages. Some of the hottest topics in the AECO world are globalization, urbanization, and sustainability. Urbanization studies suggest that the US will build 114 cities as the size of Boston in the next 30 years. Here at Microdesk, we can help make sure you are prepared to meet those demands. We use software from industry leaders and combine it with our vision and passion for sustainability to meet the demands of urbanization. A team of industry expert consultants are redefining project delivery and asset management. We're committed to helping clients realize the business benefits of BIM quickly and economically by facilitating the use of innovative technologies and processes, whether it's streamlining your design, construction, or operations. Our consulting team is the nation's largest and most experienced group of AECO technology consulting professionals. Microdesk clients represent some of the nation's largest and most respected organizations and public agencies, including Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, the Denver Airport, Columbia University, amongst many others. To help support the industry with these demands of urbanization, we provide full service consulting. This includes building information modeling services, enterprise strategy and workflow assessments, technology management, mentoring and support, application development, and much, much more. We partner with world leaders such as Autodesk and IBM to utilize innovative technologies and methodologies to empower sustainable design and overcome local challenges. Our vision is to reduce the environmental impact of urbanization by helping the AECO industry to design, construct, and operate better projects more efficiently by leveraging the full potential of BIM, BDC, and asset management. So now let's jump into the fun part. Today's agenda, we'll first do an overview of Assemble, taking a look at what Assemble is and why you should be using it on your projects. Next, we'll evaluate the power of Assemble's estimating processes. After that, we'll review how you can track changes between design revisions. And lastly, we'll take a look at the Assemble Excel integration, how you can create a live connection between the two platforms. And then we'll jump into some Q&A. So first, what is Assemble? Assemble is a cloud-based project management tool that leverages information from 3D models across the entire project lifecycle. By using Assemble, project teams can access, analyze, condition, and share model-based building information to improve pre-construction and construction processes. Assemble helps by providing all key stakeholders access to the model and data by leveraging cloud-based technology. There's no need for any heavy-duty machines or software. Secondly, Assemble's simple user interface makes working with the program easy, so there's no need for in-depth understanding of modeling or authoring software such as Revit, which makes it perfect for non-BIM users. It also allows all key stakeholders to have access to the model information throughout the life cycle of the project because the information is cloud-based and easy to navigate. Next, by leveraging custom Assemble properties, teams can begin to build that enriched construction model by conditioning data to the original design model. And lastly, you're able to quickly identify changes between design iterations by running simple variance reports. This allows the team to quickly understand the changes and the impact on scope and budget, and equips the team with the information needed to have educated conversations with owners and design professionals. Some of the capabilities of Assemble include rapid-based model quantity takeoff, instant access to BIM, estimating, level of development tracking. You can sync data back and forth from the model. You can export to Navisworks search sets. You can use visual variance reporting. You can visualize the model data. You can organize inventory by color. You can export and import to Excel. You can use it for change management, cost management, scheduling, asset management. There's also integrations with Excel and Power BI, plus so much more. So why use Assemble? Assemble helps construction professionals reduce risk and improve efficiency during project planning and execution by letting them condition, query, and connect BIM data to key workflows, including design reviews, takeoffs, all the things we mentioned in that previous slide. Assemble unlocks and enriches the eye in BIM by providing the ability to condition the model outside of the authoring software. Conditioning is essential step towards 5D BIM, and it's how we can create that construction-ready model. So when we are talking about conditioning, it's about taking that design model and adding and appending information to it in order to create a construction model that can be leveraged downstream. The construction model enables automation of rapid-based quantity takeoffs, estimation, bid management, scheduling, and again, that whole list that I mentioned previously. Getting to the model on the right usually takes a lot of time and money because design models typically lack that construction-ready data. So out of frustration or distrust, pre-construction teams typically revert back to that traditional method. But unfortunately, those traditional methods can't always keep up with the demands of modern construction. So we must get a mechanism in place to get that design model ready for construction quickly and efficiently, which is what Assemble allows you to do. Assemble's user interface is, like I said, fairly simple and pretty intuitive, making it easy for non-BIM users. First, taking a look at this user interface, you have the model tree. This is the navigation tree of all models, categories, families, and types in the project. Then you have the inventory list. This is the schedule of all the visible objects in the view. So here is where you have your model viewer. This is where you can view and navigate the model geometry. Next, you have the view chooser up here. You can choose from the drop-down of any of the views that have been saved, or you can click on the squares icon to get back to the project inventory. Then you have the Show Changes button. This allows you to see changes between model versions with just one click of a button. So you're able to see quickly what those revisions were between each design iteration. Next, you have the Selection bar. This allows you to change the visibility of objects, launch the Properties panel, or review quantities. And then the Properties panel. This shows you all the properties associated with the item selected in the model viewer. So let's jump into Assemble and see how properties can be used to condition the design model. So first, we're in the model viewer. We can navigate to an element that we want to select. So we'll select the slab on metal deck here. You can see it's selected in the inventory list. We can jump into the properties panel and see all the properties that are associated with it. So here you're seeing the Assemble properties, right? So bid package, cost code, right? Anything, these can be changed to anything that you're trying to track. So we have some install properties in here. So we have some concrete estimating properties for concrete waste factor, rebar cost, rebar weight. You can also add custom formulas using the class editor that can be linked to Assemble. And then you can see it's quick and easy to add information. So for the bid package, we're adding concrete and we're clicking save. That will now be linked to that element from here on out. So now let's take a look at what it's like to add some custom properties. So you have to go back out into the project inventory, go into edit project, and then you go down to manage Assemble properties. And in here, we'll see the properties that we have available to us right now. So we have general, right, install properties. We have some asset management that we have hidden. You can edit, hide, or delete properties in here. You can also create your own group. So for here, we're going to do concrete properties. You have the option of displaying that group for specific categories. So if you drill down, you have the options of curtain wall, air terminals, docks, right? Any of the properties that are associated in your model. But for here, we'll use all categories and click Save. We want to drag that concrete properties up because we want it higher on the list when we get into the properties panel. So all you have to do is drag it to the top here. We want it right underneath general. Next, we want those concrete estimating properties up at the next level. So we'll drag those up as well. You have two options to add properties, either the plus button or create property. We use plus. If you notice, your group is already populated when you use that plus underneath concrete properties. We're creating a property called concrete strength, and then you have to choose your type. You have all these options here: data tree, date and time, area and count, voltage, right? Anything that you could really think of, you could make the type. For this one, we'll use number. We'll click Save. As you can see, the concrete strength property is now underneath concrete properties. We'll add another property using the other method. Click property, create property. We'll choose what group we want it underneath. We're going to choose concrete estimating properties, and we're going to use we're going to call this one master format. Here, if you have any cost codes, right, specific information that your company uses to identify what you're going to bill this to, you can import this data tree from your Excel spreadsheets that you already have and have a plethora of layers and organize it whatever way you want, right? That way you're just selecting that code that you want when you're in that property. So we'll click Save, and you'll see that we have the master format down at the bottom. We'll drag that up to the top because we want that as the head, the top property underneath concrete estimating. We'll click Close, and we'll get back into the project to take a look at those properties that we just added. Now note, you can add as many properties as you want. You can add as many groups. So whatever you're trying to track and assemble, whether it be pre-construction or construction, you can add. So we'll go back to that same element. We'll go into the properties panel, and we'll add some of the information. So you can see we have that concrete strength and that master format. We'll jump into the master format so you can see what it's like to choose from the data tree. As you can see, we have those same levels that we saw on the properties panel. And you can choose any one of these. We will end up choosing concrete since that's what this falls underneath. That's a slab on metal deck. But again, this can be changed to be whatever your company is using. Next, we'll add concrete strength. We'll be putting it in as PSI. Note that we did not put what unit it is, so we'll go back and edit that property just so you can see what it's like to edit it once you already have it established. So we'll go back to the project inventory, go into Edit Project, go back to Manage Assemble Properties, and we'll click Edit, and we'll add PSI. Note, you're unable to change the type once you create that property. We'll click Close, and now our properties have been added. Next, we're going to take a look at the inventory list and see how visibility settings can be used to isolate the scope you're trying to quantify. So we're now in the model. You can see that this is the structure model. We want to isolate the concrete. Right now, we're seeing all the steel and all the other structural elements. So we'll go into the model tree and visibility settings and create a rule. So we're going to add a rule here. We're going to do a show only. Here you can use whatever property you want to filter by. So we're going to use structural material, and we're going to do a contains concrete rule. And click Update. Now the model viewer only shows the concrete that's on the job and also the inventory list. So now we have isolated all the concrete on the job. Next, we're going to add the bid package here. So you can just see what it's like to add the property to all of these. Since we know this is all concrete, we'll change it to concrete and click Save. Now these all fall underneath the same bid package. Next, we'll take a look at the inventory list and what it's grouped by. Right now it's grouped by category. So if we drill down, you can see we have all the floors, columns, foundation, framing, right? We have all these other group bys saved, all right? So let's just choose, and you can also create new groups. So we're going to choose structural material just to make sure that our rule is working the way we want it to. And it is. We're seeing concrete buildup, we're seeing cast in place, we're seeing some of the balconies, we're seeing grade 50 for the rebar. So we're going to create a new group. We're going to do it by concrete strength. You can group by any property that's available to you in the model. So whether it's assembled property or a model property, you can group by that. So we're going to search for concrete strength. Next level, we're going to do category name. Next one, we'll do category type. You can use as many levels to the group by as you want, and then you can manipulate basically how they're seen in those groups easily as well. So you can see we have a ton of options here. You can drag it up, so type would be above category name, but I like it the way it was. So we'll hit create, and then immediately we see the inventory list is changed, so it's grouped by the properties you just selected. So you're seeing the concrete strength, then you're seeing the category, and then you're seeing the type. We drill down one more, you can see the families underneath the types. You drill down one more, you can see the source IDs. So this allows you to basically group by whatever information you want to see and how you want to see it. Next, you'll notice we have a ton of information in this inventory list. So in the columns, you can manipulate these as well to be exactly what you want. So right now, we have all the model geometry that came straight out of Revit or the authoring software. But we want to add some of the estimating information. So we're going to pull in unit cost. Note you can pull in any property you want here. So we're going to do unit costs. We're going to take out some of this information we're not really going to use. So length, width, right, height, thickness. We are going to use volume and area. So we'll do total cost as well and bring that up. And then note we already have all the quantities in volume, in the volume and cubic yardage. And you'll see that in the inventory list. So volume at the end really is unnecessary because it's kind of a duplicate column in this situation. So we're going to take it out. Done. And now you can see when we drill down, we've got the unit cost for each type and it's calculated, right? And then you have the total cost, all based off your rapid-based model quantity takeoff. And this is just done immediately. As you can see, this can be a huge time saver for your estimators. You know, the process is typically trying to do an on-screen takeoff from 2D drawings, right? We didn't even need to do that. We had the rapid-based quantity takeoff from the model, and now we have the unit cost calculating the total cost for us immediately. Next, we can come over and color by property. This is a good gut check to make sure that everything makes sense and the quality of your model is correct. So you can color by any property. Here we're going to do concrete strength. As you can see, we have all our concrete strengths, and now just immediately put color per the concrete strength. You can section to investigate a little bit further. You could also use more rules if you wanted to see this by specific level, right? You have endless possibilities here. And you can see that in the inventory list, the color is also associated with the colors that you're seeing in the model viewer. Now that we have this view to a point that we like, right, we're going to save it and do this concrete takeoff. Done. And now we can go back to this view whenever we want to. Your other teammates can jump into it. And now we have a concrete takeoff and with all the concrete elements isolated. Now we'll take a further look into how Assemble can be used to estimate costs by leveraging the rapid-based model quantity takeoff. So now we'll jump back into that view that we just created, concrete takeoff. Here we'll see that all the color has been saved, the columns have been saved. You've got all the group by saved, right? So this is exactly how we left it. And I want to show you how you can add some information and how that will impact your inventory list. So for example, if we knew that this concrete 6-inch wall needed to be changed to a different concrete strength and had a different unit cost, You come into the properties panel. You can change what concrete strength it is. So it's now 3,500 PSI, and the unit cost will change since the concrete strength has changed. So we're going to change that to 106. As you notice, total cost automatically updates based on the unit cost, and then it's been moved in your inventory list to be grouped underneath the 3,500 PSI. You can also note that the color has changed in the model viewer to reflect that change as well. Now we're going to use the Show Changes button. This is pretty powerful so we can see the changes between each design iteration. So we don't have to go through and hope that the design team clouded everything that they had changed. We can see what's been added, removed, what quantities have been changed, what type and quantities have changed. As you can see, it's completely isolated in the model viewer to just show what has changed. If we want to show some context, we can use the ghost mode so you can see it where it is in the model, right? And then what's even better is that once you get into your inventory list, you can see what quantities have been added, what has been, decreased. So you can see how that impacts your cost. So we're going to add total cost into the columns that we want to see in this variance report. Click done. And you can see we have model, A and B reflect the model versions that are shown in the comparing models window to the left. And now if we drill over, you can see how these changes impact your cost, right? So we went from having a 4.5 inch of concrete on 3 inches of deck to 5.5 inches of concrete on 3 inches of deck. What does that do to our cost, right? Well, it decreased the one value by, 481,000, but we went up to, 545,000, right? So you can see immediately how that's going to impact your budget and have the information to have educated conversations with your design team and owners as soon as you get that model from your design team. This is typically a pretty tedious process as you have to go through the takeoff again if you were doing with 2D drawings, and you wouldn't be able to get that information as quickly or easily to be able to have quick conversations with all the stakeholders that are on board and how it impacts them. So next, you have the option to change what model version you want to look at and what you want to compare it to. So if you had a 50% production to your construction documents, or if you wanted to compare CDs to SDs, right? So here, as many versions as you have, you can compare them. You can also isolate and hide by, quantity changed only or type and quantity changed only, right? What's been added or removed. So it really allows you to isolate that information. So we'll go back to just the regular view that we had, and you can see we have all the information set up the way we want it. So you can export to Excel now that you have all the data set up the way your pre-construction team wants to assess it. So now you can open up Excel, you can see the workbook here. And you're able to see that this is set up the same way that Assemble had it set up, right? All the same information, unit cost, total cost, but this information's stagnant, right? Which is fine. Just it captures the picture in time, right? And although that's great right now, we all know that there's design changes that happen all the time. Or if we were to add different properties to Assemble and they were to change the unit cost or the concrete strength or any of the other properties that you are pulling and exporting the Excel spreadsheet. So although this is helpful, there's an Excel and Assemble integration that allows you to basically connect those two platforms and have a live connection. So we're going to take a look at that next. So now we're in Excel. There's an Assemble add-in that you can download. You need to locate the connection and then configure the connection. So you connect to your site, you'll pick the project, you'll either pick a view or model. So here we're going to pick a view, we're going to click that concrete takeoff view, and you have to click your version. This is a view, it's NA. Now that you configured your connection, you need to set your headers. So here's your report headers. These are just, now we're going to do some configuring the column mapping. your first one that you choose, you really need to make it your key. This is going to be how we pull the rest of the information. Use the assemble connection, and we're going to use source ID. We're going to do apply and save. The same process, except that we're going to use the data connection for the column key. And here we're going to do structural material. We'll drill down, find structural material. Note this seems a little tedious, but once this Excel spreadsheet is set up once, it does not have to be done again. All you have to do is run the report and you get the live information straight in your Excel spreadsheet. You can pull whatever data you want and whatever category you want. Property as well. So here we're going to map category name, apply column mapping, and save. Next, we're going to do type. Drill down to type and map that column. We're going to do a few more. We're going to do volume, unit cost, and total cost. So like I said, it can be tedious at first, but this is a one-time setup. So once you have all the information set up for your quantity takeoffs that you want, this live connection just can be a run report and it can be used for multiple projects, right? As long as the same property is used across all projects, it can be used for any project or view. And then last one, we'll map total cost. And note, although this seems tedious, it is still a lot less time consuming than going through your drawings, you know, doing your quantity takeoffs by 2D and then pulling all this information. I just hit run report and we pulled all of this information from the assembled model. So here we have all the source IDs, the structural material, floors, types. We have all the quantities we want, the unit cost, and the total cost. All of this was just straight pulled right out of assemble. And you can also have a, you can send it back to assemble, which we'll show in the next video. So here is how you would basically pull columns, right, and map those columns. But sometimes, you know, your teams are going to have pre-established spreadsheets and workbooks that they are already using for their estimates, and they're going to want to be able to just pull the quantities that you're creating in assemble. So there's another tool within the Assemble tab that's called Map Quantities, and we'll take a look at that next. So here, we're going to show, so we have a spreadsheet that I created. You know, this could basically be any spreadsheet that you have with your team. If your pre-construction team has a, you know, a workbook that has 50 sheets in here, all you have to do is make sure that you have the assemble connection in one of the sheets. So same process as before, you're going to locate the connection and configure it. We're going to connect, right? Pick the project, view model, what version, click OK. Next, we'll see that we're looking strictly at the slab on metal decks, and we're going to try to map some of these quantities. So these quantities have already been mapped just for time saving purposes, but here we'll do quantity. So you're picking your quantity property you're looking for. Here we're looking for volume. Next, you're going to do the filter by property. We're going to pick type, so we can drill down into the type we want. We're picking the slab on metal deck that matches what we're looking for, and then we're clicking OK and save. And here we'll do calc quantities, and now these quantities for the volume for all of these slab on metal decks have been pulled straight out of assemble, so it did not need to be done in a 2D setting. And this is now in the workbook that you had created that you already have established. And note, you might have unit costs that you didn't want to put in by hand that you already have in your Excel spreadsheet. So this is where we're going to show how you can push things back into assemble. We're going to go back to using that configuring column mapping. We're going to use type as the column key, column type. We're going to do that assemble connection as type. We're going to apply and save. And we're going to push the unit cost back. So this one's going to be a little bit different. We'll do column mapping. We're going to do data assemble connection. Instead of using it down here, we'll do update property and click unit cost. That's the one we're going to update. We'll apply the column mapping and click save. Now what we have to do is update assemble. We'll click continue. And now these unit costs are being pushed back to our assemble model. Once we're back in assemble, we'll change the group by so we can quickly get to the slab on metal decks. Go to family and type, go to floors, and we'll go to the slab on metal decks here. As you can see, the unit costs have been changed to match what was in our Excel spreadsheet. So this was quick and easy. If you have unit costs or other information that's stored in Excel spreadsheets that you really want in your assemble model, it's easy to push. You just got to do that column mapping and vice versa. So, you know, obviously some old school, you know, estimators are going to still want to work in their spreadsheets. No problem. There's a live connection that can be made here in Excel. So to go over some benefits of using Assemble, right, just to wrap this all into a big bow here. The key things that I think are the most important are, first, the collaboration across the entire project team in a cloud-based environment. This is huge. Teams work in siloed little places, right? Some people are on the network, right? Some people have Excel spreadsheets that they're using to do their scope, right? In this situation, everyone can look into each scope that's being estimated in Assemble. And you can see that information that you're using, the views that you're creating, and we can basically collaborate across teams. Next, this is big for all the construction workflows that you can use Assemble for. The inputs can be made in the field on a mobile device without Wi-Fi. So you can basically take the model off of the Wi-Fi and input, you know, if you want to do install status, or if you have any issues that your superintendents and foremen are out in the field, right, when there's spotty Wi-Fi or there just isn't Wi-Fi at all. And they can come back to the trailer, link into the Wi-Fi, and all that information goes back up to the cloud. So that's allowed for your people that are in the office to see all that information and have a better connection on what's going on in the field. Next, it can be easily customizable to fit any company's workflows, right? We showed you how you can customize the properties, you can customize your group by, right? You can pull the information and put it into your own Excel spreadsheets to meet those current workflows. Next, the simple user interface, making it extremely user-friendly for non-BIM users, I think is a huge selling point. This is really not a BIM tool. This is a project management tool. You know, your superintendents, your project managers, your project engineers, your pre-construction engineers, right? Everybody that's not necessarily a modeler is using this tool. So it needs to be user-friendly, and that interface makes it really, really helpful. And then lastly, it can be used throughout the project lifecycle. We really focused on pre-construction and estimating in this presentation, but in reality, this can be used from the beginning to the end, right? You can use it for design and value engineering. You can use it for scheduling and sequencing, install tracking, cost and change management, and asset management, right? Basically, whatever property that you want to track, you can add it to Assemble and use Assemble to basically help you communicate that information across the entire team. So now that I threw a ton of information at you, do we have any questions? Taking a look at the questions panel. If you do, you can shoot them here. Give you guys a few seconds. If not, if you have any other further questions about Assemble or how Microdesk can help your team, you know, to do that full digital transformation, we're here for you, right? So reach out to us at this information. And I appreciate your time today. Thanks.